You want to do the easiest thing that's going to get you the closest to more sales, okay? And 25 to 30% close rate is an easy jump. Now, when it gets difficult, it's past 30%. So if you're trying to go from 30 to 40 or from 30 to 50, that's going to require a lot more effort. So at that point, I would say focus on one of these other areas, and I'll go to that in a second. Hey guys, welcome to another video. So today I want to talk to you about how to properly plan for 2024 and be very certain that you're going to hit your goals, okay? So the reason I'm recording this video today is because a couple hours ago, actually, I was talking to one of our clients and we were, planning for the next year, what we need to do, our goals and everything. And I thought, you know what, I should probably record a video like this for you guys so that you understand how I think about essentially planning ahead for the year and figure out my action items to really ensure that we help our clients hit those goals. So I think this is going to be very, very valuable for you guys. So I definitely recommend you take out a pen and paper so you can take some notes down and essentially plan at the same time that I'm explaining how I plan. That way, by the end of this video, you will know what your goal is and you will know exactly what you need to do to hit that goal. Okay, so let's dive into it. So the idea here is, first thing you want to do is write down the stats for this current year, for 2023. Okay, so this is just an example. So just some example numbers that I just put in to keep it simple. So just first write down your revenue. So how much money did you actually collect this year? So I don't want you to add anything that is for 2024 or things that you pre-booked for 2024, only the things that you collected for 2023, okay? Then I wanted to go back through all of your jobs and identify what your average project size is. Now, if you have too many jobs and you don't have like a way for you to easily look at that average, what you can do is look at the last 30 projects you closed, okay? And that should give you a pretty close average to the actual number. So look back, figure out that number, and that way we can pretty much assume that the number is going to remain very close or similar next year unless something changes in your process of generating leads and generating jobs. Before we go into this, I want you to decide what your goal is. Now, I added 1 million just because, it's a simple number and it's just doubling this number. But truly think about where you want to get to this year. It doesn't have to be 1 million, it could be 700,000, it could be 2 million, it doesn't matter. Just think about where you are this year. Think about essentially the life you want. Okay, think with the end in mind. Where do you want to be next year? How do you want to be living? Okay, and based off of that, figure out the revenue goal. Because if you just make up a random number that doesn't connect to an actual important thing to you, then it's going to be a lot harder to hit it unless you have a real motivation behind it. So just put in that number, doesn't matter where it is, just it's for yourself. And then let's start planning. Okay, so these are the numbers for last year. Okay, so I want you to look at first, how many projects did you actually close? Then how many quotes did you send out? How many estimates you went out to? And the reason these two are different is because you can go out to an estimate, but then just not send a quote. And we want to see how many estimates are you going compared to how many quotes you're given, because that will tell us the quality of the estimate you're going to. Because if you're going to 100 estimates and only sending 20 quotes, that's a big problem, right? But if you're, this 66%, for example, it's fine, right? I just want to make sure that you know that you're not just going to too many estimates without actually sending out quotes. Then you want to put in how many qualified leads you generated and then how many actual leads you generated. Okay, so this would be a good starting point to start figuring out the numbers that you need to be hitting to make this number, whatever it is, a reality. Okay, so when it comes to growing, right, your business, there's different levers you can pull. So the hardest lever is usually going to be the one that's closest to the sale. And then the easiest one is going to be the one that's furthest from the sale. So it's very hard to go from 25% close rate to 50% close rate, but it's very easy if you know what you're doing to go from 300 leads generated to 600 leads generated, right? So if you can do that and remain and keep all of these the same, you will hit your goal, right? Because you have these numbers and these numbers should be consistent, okay? That's why I told you to go back through the whole year, not just last month, okay? Because if these are the numbers for the whole year, then they are very likely to remain consistent for the next year as long as you remain the same and you don't try anything random that you don't know if it's gonna work, okay? Now, here's how I would suggest you essentially improving certain areas of the business. So if your close rate is under 30%, so in this example here, this is 25. What I recommend is that you spend some time studying sales and actually have a book I would recommend you. I recommend this book right here. I have no affiliation to this book. I just found it online. I read it and I really think it's a good book if you want to improve your sales for a landscaping or modeling company. Okay, I've recommended it to a couple of clients of mine and they really liked it as well. So if you want to improve sales, I highly recommend that. But going back to my point, if your close rate is under 25%, I would start there. If nothing changes and only your close rate changes from 25 to 30%, that's an extra 5 jobs right there, right? So you want to do the easiest thing that's going to get you the closest to more sales, okay? And 25 to 30% close rate is an easy jump. Now, when it gets difficult, it's past 30%. So if you're trying to go from 30 to 40 or from 30 to 50, that's going to require a lot more effort. So at that point, I would say focus on one of these other areas, and I'll go to that in a second. All right, so let's say you improve your close rate to 30%, but nothing else changes. That means you're going to get 30 jobs booked, which means you're going to close essentially $600,000, okay, in sales. So you're increasing revenue, but you're not quite at your goal. That tells me that, okay, there's more to improve. Okay, it's not just the number of closed jobs. Now, you can either try and work on these and improving these, and I'll explain specifically how to do that in just a second, or you can just double down on trying to increase the number of leads you get, okay, and ensuring that this number or these three numbers remain the exact same, okay, which may be difficult, it may not be, depends on a lot of things, to be honest with you, but that is an option, okay? Increase your close rate to 30% and then just double down on getting as many leads as possible, okay? So if you go from this to 600 leads, so if you double leads, let's say 400 are qualified. Actually, let's do the math here. So 600 times 66%, that's 396 leads. So let's see if you would actually hit your goal if you do this and this, and I think you will. Then you book 75% of those into an estimate, so 396. So 297 estimates, then that's actually very doable. We've had clients hit that in under a year actually. And then 66% of those you actually give out a quote. That is 196 quotes given, which that means essentially you double. And then you multiply that by your close rate, which means you hit 58 jobs closed, which gets you to over that $1 million revenue mark, okay? So as you can see, if you just get this to 30% and then just double the number of leads, you're there. Okay, now again, these are example numbers. Your numbers may look very different than this, okay? So you need to do the math here with your numbers. So again, let me go into like the hierarchy of improvements. So if your close rate is under 30%, start with your close rate. So start with your sales, do what you can to make it better, analyze past estimates you've given, quotes, the process you went through, and see how it can be better. Okay, just to give you a couple tips right now, to improve your sales, you have to understand that the selling is all about three things: trust in you, trust in your company, and trust in your service. Okay, if people trust those three things and they can actually afford your quote, then there's no reason for them not to go with you. Okay, so you need to figure out, okay, like what is causing this issue? Is it they don't trust me, my business, my service ability, or am I just pricing too much, or are they the wrong lead for the product? Like can they just not afford what they want, right? Which can happen very often. Okay, so you need to get serious. Okay, don't think about hurting your own feelings, right? Just be upfront and honest with yourself and think, okay, like what am I doing wrong for me to close under 30%? So to fix the trust in the company, just send them your projects and your reviews before you show up to the estimate. That's super simple, okay? Because by then, they can see that you're a real company, that you've done jobs before, that people are happy with your work, and that removes that issue of not trusting the company. And you can even just show it to them live in person when you're giving the estimate. Like, hey, you want to check out some of the projects we've done? And you show it to them. It's super simple. Trusting yourself is all about, showing them that you care, that you're a good person, and not just trying to make them pay as much money as possible, right? So if you feel like they tell you they want something but it doesn't make sense to you, just tell them like, hey, look, that sounds like a great idea, but I think this would make more sense. Can I tell you this idea that I had, right? Just genuinely care for them and have their best interest in mind, okay? And lastly, trusting your service is pretty much similar to trusting the company, okay? Because that is pretty much similar to the reviews and the projects you've completed before. But one thing I forgot to mention though, is that trusting your company is also going to be applied on how their experience is when they become a lead. Okay, if they become a lead and they don't hear from you until 1 hour before the estimate, that may raise some red flags. Okay, if they book the estimate and then you call them and introduce yourself, say, hey, this is John from Rootflow or from whatever landscaping company or modeling company, or it doesn't matter. Just wanted to let you know I saw your information come in, your estimate. I'm very excited to talk to you on whatever date. We'll talk then. Let me know if you have any questions in the meantime and I'll make sure to answer them. Right, something like that, that just you're welcoming them into your business. So you need to do that, and that is definitely going to help. Okay. The next step is the quote given, okay? So how do you improve the quote given? So that is going to be a direct change in the number of quality leads and quality you book, okay? So when you're booking an estimate, right, you need to make sure that the leads actually qualified to work with you. So what I mean by that is whenever someone books an estimate or wants to book an estimate, it doesn't matter which, you call them and you ask them about the project. Okay, so you do what I call an assessment call. And this, I mean, a lot of people call it an assessment call. And you want to ask them 3 things. You can ask them more stuff, but these 3 things are the ones that matter. Number 1, you want to ask for the timeline, how soon they want to get started, and if they have a design in mind. Okay, you want to kind of gauge how serious they are about the project. Number 2, you want to understand what they want. Okay, what is the scope of the project? What are they trying to do? Do they have measurements, right? And then number 3, once you really understand what they want, okay, you want to think, okay, how much could that possibly cost? And once you have an idea, you tell them, look, hey, Mr. Prospect, I really love your idea and I'm very excited to show you how we can make this happen for you. But I do want to mention that what you're describing, usually based on my experience, will go anywhere from X amount or Y amount. I just want to make sure that's something you're comfortable investing into your yard. And they may say yes or no. If they say yes, great, you book them in, you go to the estimate, give them a quote, and hopefully you close them if you did everything right. If they say no, you want to figure out why not. Is it because they don't trust you yet to invest that amount, or is it because they genuinely can't afford it? If they say they can't afford it because like it's too much upfront or whatever, then you tell them, good, that's not a problem. We also do offer financing. If you're interested in that, our payments usually start at X or Y amount. Or we can also always do a smaller project that fits within your budget. After I go out and see the area, I can probably recommend a couple ideas. Okay, so you want to do that first, and then from there, see how they react. If everything looks good, you book them in, and you will have a high quote given rate. Okay, because you're making sure that whenever you do book an estimate, the lead is actually qualified and it's actually good. Okay, the next thing is going to be the qualified lead percentage. Okay, so personally, the way I do it is if someone ever becomes lead for my clients, they need to be qualified because we put them through a qualification process. Sometimes some people prefer to just get a bunch of leads and qualify them later. That's up to you if you want to spend extra time qualifying people yourself, or if you want to have that process automated, doesn't matter. But to improve your qualification rate, you want to add barriers. Okay, so barriers are essentially questions you ask, things people have to do to actually get to you before they can actually become a lead. Okay, so we ask them questions about their budget, if they're getting multiple quotes, things like that, just to see how serious they actually are. Okay, and if someone doesn't answer the whole survey, it probably means they were not truly interested or they were not a good lead for us. Okay, and that's fine. We don't want all the leads, we just want the good ones. Okay, so that's how you would increase your qualification rate. Now, I do want to mention that by increasing your qualification rate, the number of leads you get is naturally going to go down. So if you're going to work on this, you also want to work on this to ensure that you don't like dry yourself out because you're focusing too much on quality. Okay, so do keep that in mind. I don't want you guys to go crazy on qualification process and then just only get like 10 leads a month, which is not good. Okay, so that is essentially what you want to do. You want to essentially reverse engineer the whole process so that you understand what you need to achieve in each area of the funnel, okay, to hit that $1 million, because all this is just bottlenecks, okay? So essentially, you're trying to see, okay, so we have bottlenecks here, okay, a box, so excuse the bad, I guess, square, a rectangle. So you have water that's coming in, so these are the leads, right? And then you have different sections. So you have quality, you have booking, you have quotes given, and you have the sale. Okay, so leads come in. So there's the water, like a pipeline. Leads come in, and let's say only a certain amount actually get through. Let's say 50% or 30% of those actually get through, right? Now from there, even less will get through, right? Again, we're just going down and down and down. And then from there, only 10% get through. And from there, you only close 30% of those, right? So you can see the levels is going down. So what you need to make sure essentially which level do I need to be to hit this number that I have in mind for my company. Okay, do I need to make sure this is higher, or do I need to make sure this is higher, or this is higher? And that's what we're figuring out right here, because all of these numbers are just stages here, right? So that's pretty much what you have to do. Now look, if any of you guys are thinking about investing into advertising, into marketing, you're not really sure how to properly fix up these numbers for yourselves or your company, and you really want to hit your goal but you're not sure how, okay, I have a link down below that's going to explain very clearly how we help other contractors hit their goals. Okay, we're going to help you get more leads that are qualified, more estimates on your calendar, and we're going to help you close more jobs. Okay, that's what we do. That's what we're great at. A client of mine just made $100,000 from investing around 10K into ads. So we know it really works if you do what we tell you to do. So, if you're on the fence, if you're thinking about it, check out the link below, book in a call with me personally, and I will show you exactly how everything works. I will give you advice and I'll explain what I think would be the right next move for you. And look, If I don't think it's a fit, I will let you know. I'll be upfront, and there's really no pressure to work with me. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Do keep in mind, I'm going to be posting sales training here soon. I'm going to be posting trainings on lead sources, on how to qualify your leads and everything, so that you have a very clear plan on how to make it happen. So make sure to hit the subscribe button below so that you know when I post those videos, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.